Welcome to CEO Money. I'm Michael Yorba. Thanks for joining with us. All right, I have Heidi Burkhardt. She is the president and founder of Dane Professional Consulting Group on the show with us today. All right, Heidi, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, give us some background on you, what Dane Professional Consulting Group does, and then I want to jump into a series of questions I have for you.
Yeah, definitely. So Dane Professional Consulting Group was founded in 2008 during the downturn of the market. I've been in the industry for 6 years before that and have grown in just the affordable housing business. So in 2008, I found an opportunity through a lot of mentors of mine pushing me to start my own company. And from there have grown to be about 2 billion worth of sales of just affordable housing. We also do equity placements of various deals, and that actually goes and sprawls out past affordable housing. So we've done a lot of market money placement for development sites as well as market rate properties, and continue to keep on growing. So, again, we've done over 2 billion of sales in just affordable, but I haven't even counted all the other under the radar opportunities we've done on the market rate side. But typically it's a focus of residential on that standpoint.
Why did you decide to move into the affordable housing market sector?
It's one of those areas that it just happened to fall in my lap, number one, and it's an industry that's rather still untapped and constantly growing. And in either kind of political environment you're in, if it's Republican or Democrat, it still stays fairly vibrant and stable, which I actually appreciate. And the ultimate side of it is just it's wonderful people. You deal with people that still value a handshake as a handshake, and the industry as a whole is huge on reputation. You have to have a great reputation of just being good people within the agencies as well as the private sector. So I always appreciated that aspect of it. So, it's again the stability and the great people you're working with. It's an industry that just again fell in my lap, and I just grew to love that much more.
There's a lot of wealth that's stored in real estate and it fluctuates. I'd like to get your take on the industry sector as a whole and then break it down to where your field of expertise is, what you think is going to happen as we go forward.
Yeah, as the industry as a whole, affordable housing has grown since I've been in it. So when I first started in 2003, it's 17 years, well, almost 17 years ago, it was an industry that was not necessarily looked at. It was kind of the stepchild or the black sheep of the real estate family. And as we've grown the past few years, which again, 17 years is long, but not too long, there's been a lot of changes. The agencies got a lot more creative and supportive in different ways in regards to the private sector. In regards to where the industry is going, it really just depends on what the state politics are as well as the federal politics and municipality on top of that. So it's kind of every single state is rather different in where it can actually lead to, which is kind of unique. And to me, I like challenges like that. So it's one of those aspects of the industry that always keeps you on your toes. And again, it's one that makes you actually appreciate, especially in this political environment, the city and the federal, and how each can play its different role in creating affordable housing, preserving affordable housing, or not. So it's pretty dynamic, and it's as much as people, people try to stay away from it, but they always try to touch their toes in it because it's fairly complicated. But at the end of the day, for equity placements, I think it's probably one of the more stable asset classes out there that more people should invest in. It's one that I get really disappointed to see larger corporations that have a huge presence in various states and cities not invest in affordable housing when they could through tax credits and buying the tax credits of affordable housing. You see a lot of the banks that have in the past who got actually, when the financial crisis happened, a lot of people got mad at the banks, but at the same time, those banks were the only ones buying tax credits essentially to create affordable housing. So it's kind of funny because they were actually very supportive of all demographics and income levels. Um, so, that kind of stuff I always appreciate in regards to where the industry goes. And I'd love to see someone more like Google, Facebook, some of the bigger companies, Amazon, doing more investment in affordable housing. Because, you'll see, if you Google me, Heidi Burkhart, you'll see a lot of my advocation is more building more middle income, which is, I think is a very untapped aspect with government agencies as well as private sector. I think there needs to be more stepping stones. We're not going to get rid of low income housing in Section 8. So we need to create more stepping stones for everybody. You can't, if you just have low income, you're going to keep everybody at that level. Because again, if they make more money, they're going to lose their affordable housing. There's no incentive to make more money then. So we're kind of keeping them at that level. So that's where, to me, we need to be creating more stepping stones. So that's where I get more excited of certain municipalities kind of creating those stepping stones. New York does try to do its best, but I think we could always do more. I heard Boston and Massachusetts have a great program with workforce housing as well. But again, I think we can always do more to create more stepping stones to help people get through and not have to stay in low income housing.
What I'm finding in our area, there are more corporate requests for economic development of impoverished areas that they're trying to completely rehab the area and then working with the political environments to create not only a housing situation that can be really a wide margin, because if you're in affordable housing, there's a lot of room to grow for value, but also economic development of the surrounding economies and creating jobs that create an overall appreciation of the community, not just individual properties. And are you seeing the same thing where you are?
I think New York, we're in a lot of different markets for our clients. So we actually focus not just on New York City tri-state area, but wherever our clients want us to find opportunities for them in. So we've actually done deals all the way from Florida to Texas to North Carolina, Colorado, actually. So, when you're looking at economic development, the biggest, flow of interest and flow of equity right now is actually on the zones, which I think was a great thing that the government created in regarding creating more of a spur in these areas and these pockets that need to see more development. So I'm pretty excited about what the opportunity zones will do for individuals. And, I think it creates more of an opportunity for future administrations to create more tools like that, or more incentives for, the private developer to actually want to get into those areas that normally they want to be thinking about or investing in. And, the flip side, as a community, it's one of those long terms that will never have an answer in regards to progression versus gentrification. It's one of those that, is it a positive thing or is it a negative thing? And everybody has thought about it. And it's one of those that's always a touchy subject. So, when you say economic development, obviously Amazon was one that I was really excited for personally in Queens, because it's a company that will withstand a recession, in my personal opinion, and is much needed in any city, even though you give them these tax breaks for future income, which again, we didn't have that. So it's one of those that I wish we would have had that sort of company for economic development in New York City. Unfortunately, we don't, but we do need to start. I think more cities need to think about pulling that in. But again, people get worried when it's gentrification and progression, it's change. And, it's one thing that's hard when you're looking at economic development and the missed opportunity, when you're looking at things. But overall, I do see affordable housing being a huge resource, in regards to it's kind of like a market rate asset sometimes when you're looking at Section 8, because, Section 8 building, if it's a certain program, it is market rate rents that you're seeing. So you already have that value, but there's a lot of different opportunities to create, ground up or preservation deals that I think are much needed in certain markets. So again, that's where I think the opportunity zone was a great tool for the administration to start with and hopefully grow from in the future.
Heidi, I'd love to ask you 1,000 more questions, but we'll have to have you come back. I know you just took a moment out of your day today to be with us, and I really want to thank you for being our guest on today's show.
No, and I apologize for my appearance too. I was in the hospital with my grandma, so I know that my appearance is not the best, but I thank you guys so much for having me.
My pleasure. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, you've been watching CEO Money with Michael Yorba. Thanks for joining with us. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.